Hi, I'm going to make a pretty short video of just a few Beatles finds that I've gotten recently. And I'm going to start out with this one, which I'm going to play in the background as soon as I get started. It's a record called The Beetle Bomb. Beetle Bomb spelled B-E-E-T-L-E. Beetle Bomb by the Exterminators on Chancellor Records. And the B-side is something called Stomp Me Out, which I still haven't played. And what's funny is this is a Beatles novelty record from back in the day, 1964, when the Beatles were first, taking over by storm, and a lot of people were anti-Beatles. I mean, you had the song "Pop Hates the Beatles" by Alan Sherman, who did "Hello Mother, Hello Father," that song. And it's funny that these people really thought the Beatles were just going to be a flash in the pan, fly-by-night thing, just a bunch of insects we could squash and move on to the next fad. And here we are 51 years later, still talking about them after their American takeover. So here's a little sample of this song, Wings at the Speed of Sound. Okay, getting a lot of Beatles and solo Beatles 8-tracks, and still looking for a good working 8-track player. I go to my used record store, and mostly what I'm going to show here are going to be import albums from Uruguay. And some Beatle collectors out there, when they hear that, the Uruguay imports, might go, ugh, because I had a lot of those in the early days of my original Beatle collection, and the quality's not really that great on them. But what really made me want to pick some of them up was this one. I always like alternate covers and things like that. It doesn't really interest me as much when the covers are the same old covers. Here's a version of the White Album, Uruguay import, but what's interesting about it is the Beatles in red lettering, a little different than what we're used to seeing. These Uruguay imports, they were all in this kind of plastic outer covering. But this one has a gatefold, and the gatefold is interesting. Okay, one side here, you got a picture here from the Help film from 1965, and here's another one from Help. So it's interesting that we got 1965 photos for the gatefold. All the song titles are foreign. There's no poster in here, no photographs, anything like that. The records themselves are always in these clear and hard to replace the record in sleeves. One side, the other side. So of course this is a 2-record set, the White Album. As I say, one of the reasons why I wasn't really interested in picking too many of these up from day one of my collecting again was that, the covers are nothing really unusual, but I found a batch of them at the store, and they weren't expensive, so I was in the mood. There's Abbey Road. There's a different code number there. Okay, I haven't played them yet. Same kind of thing with the Apple, a little different looking than usual. Haven't played them yet. I do want to play these. I want to hear what they sound like. I remember from my old collection that there weren't anything really to write home about, sound quality wise. Next one I have is Sgt. Pepper. Same thing, the plastic. This one is actually, I'm going to take this out of it. It's put in one of these resealable outer sleeves. I just want to see the album itself inside. I don't think there's any inserts in here. Again, there's no spines on these, just the plastic. And of course, I don't think you're not going to find any Sgt. Pepper, mustache or cardboard items in here. And this is how I remember most of these looking. Most of these were on, the ones I had back in the old days were on this Odeon label. So it says Sgt. Pepper's is. And the last one that I have to show for this video is Beatles Live at the Hollywood Bowl. This is one that I had in my original collection, and it's interesting that you have all the writing in Spanish on the back, the whole dialogue here, text that George Martin wrote. This is sealed. This hasn't been opened. I don't really care if it's sealed, this particular album. I'm going to open it. Okay? So let us do that right now. Live opening. It's just, flimsy plastic. Once you take that out, I think if I remember this correctly, because I used to have it, I think this was on that, it might have been on that tan EMI label. It was like a brownish EMI label. This one opens up. The inside is like kind of similar to the one that we know. Let me just close my laptop. So that's like a gatefold, flimsy gatefold. Oh, the record. Yeah, it's the record the way I remembered it. It's the EMI with the red letters and kind of tan label. Yeah, so now, of course, once I get one, I want to get all of them. So now I'm on a quest to complete my Uruguay collection. So anyway, alright, that's it for today's video. I was in the mood to make one, and it's always frustrating when you don't have enough items and you want to kind of have enough to make somewhat of a short video, okay? Anyway, thank you everybody.